headlines of this hour on VTV News. National Assembly discusses implementation of global minimum tax. And credit to reach double-digit growth in last months of 2023. And in our world news, Arab and Muslim ministers call for a ceasefire in Gaza.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good morning. It is 8 a.m. local time and you're watching VTV News. I'm Huyền Trân with the top stories. Now, under the leadership of National Assembly Chairman Vương Đình Huệ, the National Assembly held a plenary discussion on Monday morning to review the progress made in addressing the petitions submitted by voters during the fifth session of the 15th National Assembly.
A total of 2,765 voters' petitions, which were submitted to the fifth session of the 15th National Assembly, have been forwarded to the relevant agencies. Out of these, 99.5% have been resolved.
There has been an increase in the sense of responsibility among ministries, sectors, localities, and agencies in addressing voters' petitions. Localities and individuals have provided support in implementing the recommendations put forth by voters, such as amending the decree that modifies certain articles of the health insurance law to overcome obstacles in the procurement of drugs and medical supplies, managing national target programs, dispersing public investment capital, and addressing challenges in the implementation of expressway projects.
Deputies praised the efforts of the authorities in resolving voters' petitions and suggested that they continue to address outstanding petitions, particularly those related to COVID-19 prevention.
During COVID-19, medical units faced a rapid increase in cases and had to borrow medical supplies and antiseptic chemicals from private suppliers. However, due to issues with the procurement procedure, they have been unable to make payments to these suppliers. I recommend that the authorities provide guidance on how to settle the debt for these units.
At our hospital, there are cases where outstanding debts have not been paid and are overdue beyond the fiscal year. Since the hospital has utilized the equipment, we are responsible for paying both the debts and the accrued bank interests. I recommend that local authorities take decisive action to address any remaining issues after the pandemic.
In the afternoon, the National Assembly discussed the draft resolution on the imposition of top-up corporate income tax under the global anti-base erosion model rules, as well as value-added tax reductions.
On Monday afternoon, the National Assembly continued its session with a discussion on the application of additional corporate income tax according to the global anti-base erosion model rules. National Assembly deputies shared the consensus that a resolution according to simplified procedures on this matter be issued soon and develop preferential policies to continue attracting investment. More in the following story.
Applauding the government's efforts, the National Assembly Standing Committee introduced the draft resolution at the session. Deputies believe that this will ensure many benefits for Vietnam.
The application of the global minimum tax will ensure Vietnam's legal rights and interests, allowing the collection of additional tax, and ensuring fairness and equality between domestic enterprises and foreign invested enterprises.
The introduction of additional income tax according to the global anti-base erosion model rules is in line with the policies and guidelines of the party and state. This will help foster new opportunities for Vietnam through the increase of budget revenue from the additional tax, deeper international integration, and more limits on tax evasion, tax avoidance, transfer pricing, and profit transfer.
However, some deputies expressed the need to make additional reviews and evaluate the regulations in the draft resolution as it will have a major impact on the investment environment, including foreign investment.
The resolution may directly affect a number of businesses that are enjoying tax-related incentives, particularly businesses that are paying a tax rate of less than 15%. It is necessary to evaluate the compatibility of the draft resolution with Vietnam's investment commitments in investment protection agreements, free trade agreements, and other related commitments.
The drafting agency also needs to have more detailed, principled regulations when collecting corporate income tax by providing foreign investors the ability to sue when subject to additional corporate income tax regulations in Vietnam, and develop a set of principles to resolve lawsuits.
Addressing the deputy's concerns, the Minister of Finance said that the promulgation of the resolution on global minimum tax is to affirm the right to tax and ensure benefits to Vietnam. As Vietnam integrates deeper into the world economy, it is necessary to always proactively amend legal regulations in accordance with international requirements to promote the country's development.
Prime Minister Phie received Romanian Minister for Business, Environment, Commerce and Entrepreneurship Stefan Radu Obria in Hanoi on Monday. At the meeting, Prime Minister Phie suggested that the two sides continue to develop trade and investment so that the relationship between the two countries develops in accordance with the potential and advantages of each country. He also expressed his hope that the EU will promote the signing of the Investment Protection Agreement between the European Union and Vietnam, or EVIPA. On his side, Minister Oria said Romania pledges to strongly intensify links with Vietnam in fields matching its strength and Vietnam's demand, such as developing expressway infrastructure, research infrastructure, and hospitals. Vietnam and Azerbaijan have the potential to boost cooperation in various fields, particularly in economy, trade and investment. Chairman of the Central Commission for External Relations Lê Hoài Trung told visiting Tahir Bugagov, the deputy chairman and the head of Central Office of the new Azerbaijan Party at their meeting in Hanoi on November 20th. He affirmed that Vietnam wants to continue developing the traditional friendship and multifaceted cooperation with Azerbaijan. The Vietnamese leader suggested the two foreign ministries coordinate to increase the exchange of delegations, keep working closely together at international and regional organizations. The two leaders witnessed the signing of a cooperative agreement between the Communist Party of Vietnam and the new Azerbaijan Party. Vietnam will pilot the mobile money service across the country for another 2 years, according to Government Resolution number 192. The development of services using a mobile phone credit to pay for small value goods and services, mobile money, is expected to promote financial inclusion and non-cash payment in Vietnam. As of the end of August 2023, the number of customers using mobile money services reached more than 5 million customers, of which customers in remote areas accounted for 69%. The government's permission to pilot the mobile money service will bring great benefits to the national economy and provide more electronic payment tools for people. The development of services using a mobile phone credit to pay for small value goods and services, mobile money, is expected to promote financial inclusion and non-cash payment in Vietnam, especially amid the complicated developments of the COVID-19 pandemic. The year-end period will see banks speed up the loan disbursement process, especially as the Lunar New Year is drawing near. Therefore, all signs are pointing towards a double-digit growth for the economy's credit sector, rising from a 7.4% figure as of the end of October.
In 10 months, this bank has recorded a credit growth rate of 16%, which is twice the average growth rate of the entire sector. The bank's leaders said that they are aiming to max out the lending rate of up to 25%.
We have reason to believe that credit growth will continue to increase in the future, especially as international orders return and exports pick up in pace gradually. Also, with the current government policy of promoting economic growth, and the interest rate is currently acceptable for businesses to meet operations, as credit will increase further.
Credit growth saw some improvement in September, reaching a rate of 6.9%. The figure rose to 7.4% in October. With this momentum, many experts believe that Vietnam can achieve the economic growth of about 5% this year, especially after many years of achieving a high credit growth rate of up to 15% per year.
If the aim is to reach 5% economic growth, then having a credit growth rate of about 9.8 to 10.2% is already good enough. It is also possible to achieve a 10.8% credit growth rate, especially as Lunar New Year approaches. In addition, it is usually more difficult to borrow at the beginning of the new year.
According to leaders of the State Bank of Vietnam in Ho Chi Minh City, there are two factors that can help remove credit bottlenecks, which are policy mechanisms and economic environment, of which there have been policies on lowering operating interest rates, delaying debt, and not changing debt groups. Interest rates have returned to pre-pandemic levels and are forecast to stay low until the first quarter of next year.
The demand for capital and banking services usually skyrockets at the end of the year. Therefore, the banking industry will always focus on meeting the credit demand of businesses, especially stable businesses, and ensuring low capital costs for these businesses. At the same time, the banking sector will need to ensure monetary security and ensure smooth payments, strengthen dialogue with businesses and meet their capital needs.
In the short term, the Ho Chi Minh City's banking sector is looking to spend $372.2 million to lend at low interest rates from 4 to 6% to meet businesses' capital needs for the upcoming Lunar New Year.
Coming up next on VTV News. German vessel rescues 14 Vietnamese stranded at sea. And foreign teachers celebrate Vietnamese Teachers' Day. Welcome back to VTV News. Now, a German vessel on Monday rescued 14 crew members of a ship in the seas of southern Binh Thuận province after they spent 10 hours stranded at sea. At around 3:30 a.m. the same day, the vessel was carrying 13 others to fish around 92 nautical miles, over 165 kilometers away from Phu Quy Island, when the ship was sunk by waves. As the captain broadcast distress signals, crew members held on to floating objects. The ship had been at sea for 2 weeks before the incident occurred. Waters off of the coast of Binh Thuận saw terrible weather conditions over the past few days, with heavy rains, strong winds, and rough seas. Having served sentences to pay for their past mistakes, the former offenders struggle to return to a normal life back in the community. However, thanks to the support of the government and local organizations, the path to social reintegration of reformed prisoners has been made much easier.
The police officers of Thời An Hội Commune, Gaza district visited Huỳnh Minh Hoàng house in Mỹ Hội Hamlet to take upon him after his release in 2017.
Because he spent 12 years in re-education camp, which is quite long, his family faces many financial difficulties. That is why we advise the committee to help him carry out bank loan procedures.
With support and guidance from the commune police and the People's Committee, Hoàng received a loan of over $2,000 from the bank. He invested this loan into opening a guava garden. His family continues to receive support to improve their guava farm so they can gain a better income.
When he started planting guavas, I gave technical instructions on how to fertilize, prune branches, and how to wrap the fruit. I saw that my help fueled Hoàng spirit to develop his business.
My family's financial condition has been stable in recent years. My brothers, friends, and the local authority treat me like everyone else even though I have served a prison term, so I am less self-conscious. They also help me a lot, so I have to work hard so as to not disappoint them.
The policy aiming to support ex-offenders to reintegrate into the community, ensure a livelihood, and encourages them to move past their mistakes and move forward in life. It also helps reduce poverty, promote socio-economic development, and facilitate trust from the people in the government.
Standing Vice Chairman of the Vietnamese National Assembly, Trần Thanh Mẫn, had a meeting with representatives of the Cultural Heritage Association of Vietnam ahead of the Vietnam Cultural Heritage Day, which falls on November 23rd. The leader asked the association leaders and members to continue to promote their intelligence and enthusiasm in consulting and supporting state management agencies, as well as promoting the role of the people in the task of preserving cultural heritage. The Cultural Heritage Association of Vietnam is asked to actively contribute to the amended law on cultural heritage, which is expected to submit to the National Assembly for comments at the next 7th working session. Tens of thousands of square meters of land have been donated by residents in Bắc Giang province in just 1 year to expand rural roads. This is a movement created 1 year ago by local authorities in order to open roads for better trade and traffic. Some households even donated their residential land, which is worth tens of thousands of US dollars to the campaign, contributing to improving the landscape of the countryside.
People are smashing their own houses, gateposts, and walls in Hat Village, Thượng Lan Commune. After just a few months, the road, which previously has a width of 3 meters, has been widened to 6 meters. Some households even donated up to 50 to 60 square meters of residential land, worth up to 20,000 US dollars.
People understood that the value of their land can come up to hundreds of dollars, but they are still willing to donate. They even encourage others to do the same and anticipated their turn to donate.
This road has recently doubled in width, but to do that, this man had to smash 60 meters of his own fence as well as other auxiliary structures so that the road can be widened by 2 meters.
Of course, losing money is a big deal, especially in the countryside, but having the government build us a bigger road is a great payoff. When walking around, I feel very comfortable and happy as I have played a part in bettering people's and society's quality of life.
In early 2022, local authorities of Viet Yên district approved the project to upgrade the village and roads and alleys. The government also committed to subsidize the cost of cement and support 14,400 US dollars per kilometer of the village road.
The district support budget is an incentive to promote people's resolution to donate their lands for road expansion. Because, though some want to expand the road, not everyone shares the same thought. Providing people with financial support will create a high consensus, leading to easier implementation.
In just 1 year, 156 kilometers of rural roads in Viet Yên district have been upgraded and expanded. People donated more than 11,000 square meters of land. The government has successfully included the people in this project, making this truly the people's decision.
Vietnamese Teachers' Day on November 20th is the country's special day to honor and appreciate teachers. Respecting teachers is a tradition, a part of Vietnam's national cultural identity, and this tradition has brought unforgettable memories and emotions for foreign teachers working in Vietnam.
Спасибо большое, Ань. Спасибо.
This is Maria's first time in Vietnam and also her first Vietnamese Teachers' Day.
Мне очень приятно.
I was very happy and touched by the students' sincere wishes. They gave me a wonderful Vietnamese gift, a fruit basket. In Russia, we often give cakes and chocolate, but Vietnam has a more tropical style. It is great. Teaching is a highly respected profession in Vietnam. I feel like I am congratulated not just today, but every day when I teach.
November 20th is Vietnam's Teachers' Day, so we will also organize a celebration activity at the Institute and will invite all Russian teachers to attend. We also want the experts to integrate into the local life.
As for Nabita Naoko, Vietnamese Teachers' Day always evokes special emotions even though she has taught Japanese in Vietnam back in 2003.
To this day, students still send letters to congratulate me on Vietnamese Teachers' Day, making me very happy. In Japan, there is no Teachers' Day, so I get to receive flowers and gifts on this day in Vietnam. Those are things I haven't experienced in Japan. The Vietnamese students are very cute. They are always calling me sweetly, "Cô ơi, cô ơi."
We want to give her the special holiday atmosphere. We give her flowers and create an atmosphere of gratitude so she knows how grateful we are.
Whether they are still teaching in Vietnam or have returned to their homeland, it is thanks to the special sentiments of Vietnamese students and colleagues that help foreign teachers fall in love with this land.
Early Monday morning, the temperature dropped to around 0 degrees Celsius, causing frost to cover Phan Mountain with a thin white layer. This is the first frost occurrence on this mountain this winter. When the temperature reaches 0 degrees Celsius and the sky is calm and clear, water vapor freezes, forming a small white particles similar to salt. These particles spread evenly on the ground and plants, creating a thin layer of frost. As the sun rises and the temperature increases, the frost gradually melts away. The weather forecast indicates that strong cold air will continue to dominate the weather in the north for the next 10 days. During the night and early morning, temperatures will drop, increasing the possibility of frost appearing on Phan Mountain and other high mountain areas. Frost is harmful to crops and vegetables, so it is important for people to take protective measures. Coming up next in our world news, Arab and Muslim ministers call for a ceasefire in Gaza. And Delhi's severe air pollution forces residents to flee. Moving on to other news, foreign ministers of numerous Arab and Muslim countries arrived in Beijing, China on Monday. This is the first stop on their business trip to promote peace and humanitarian relief efforts in the Gaza Strip. At a meeting with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi, the delegation of foreign ministers of Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Egypt, Indonesia, Palestine, and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation called for an immediate ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. China's top diplomat Wang Yi affirmed that China supports the call for a two-state solution to the Middle East issue. He also said the international community must act now to take effective measures to end the humanitarian disaster. The Hamas-Israel conflict since October 7 has left at least over 12,000 Palestinians and 1,200 Israelis dead. Israel refuses a ceasefire until Hamas releases all hostages it is holding. In Monday's trading session, the Nikkei 225 index, a stock index including the prices of 225 Japanese blue-chip companies traded on the Tokyo Stock Exchange, increased to over 33,800 points. This is the highest level since 1990. Financial shares led the gains at the beginning of the Monday's session, as investors prepared for the Bank of Japan to end its negative interest rate policy. Meanwhile, automobile and machine manufacturers benefited from the weakening yen and rising exports. Previously, the Tokyo stock market also witnessed strong growth in stocks of semiconductor and petroleum companies. Since the beginning of November until now, the Nikkei 225 index has increased continuously by 9.3%. This is thanks to the positive results announced by businesses and the increased foreign demand for these company stocks. Saudi Arabia announced Sunday that it had discovered new natural gas fields in the country's southern empty quarter region. According to the APS news agency, natural gas was also discovered in 5 reservoirs in previously undiscovered fields. The news agency also reported that the Saudi Arabian oil company Saudi Aramco aims to increase its gas output by 50% by 2030 from its 2021 levels. Saudi Arabia is a country rich in oil and natural gas resources. The country's natural resources reserve are worth about $34,400 billion, and about 1/5 of the world's oil comes from Saudi Arabia. Air pollution levels in India's capital, New Delhi, hit new highs and have worsened in recent days. The city air quality index once hit the toxic level of 471, making it one of the most polluted cities in the world. Struggling to breathe amid the city's toxic smog, many required treatment at hospitals, and some even chose to leave the city to escape the pollution.
These days, the town of Nainital in Uttarakhand state, India is busier thanks to increased tourism. They mainly come from the capital New Delhi, now with grey skies due to pollution. Unlike New Delhi, Nainital is a highland town with cleaner air. Although the town is about 300 kilometers from the capital, its clean, fresh air is a worthy trade-off to residents of the smog-filled capital city.
Over the past few days, the air quality in New Delhi has been very bad. We felt very claustrophobic. From the moment I arrived in Nainital, the atmosphere changed completely. I can breathe in the fresh air.
Taking in New Delhi's air these days is equivalent to smoking 6 dozen cigarettes a day. When I came to Nainital, it is like I am in a different world.
Whenever winter approaches, New Delhi is engulfed in toxic smog due to cold air masses trapping dust from construction sites, vehicle emissions, and smoke from straw burning in neighboring states. This heightens the risk of respiratory diseases for city residents. Although leaving the city for the hills is only a temporary solution, the fresh air helps to revive the citizens of the capital. Buying air purifying plants is also another solution that is commonly considered.
I went to the nursery to buy some indoor plants to help purify the air. I plan to buy Erica palm and snake plant.
Deteriorating air quality forced the New Delhi government to close schools for winter break earlier than expected. Officials are also hoping for coming rains to improve the city's air quality.
Now, before we say goodbye, let's take a look at the weather forecast. And that is it for our morning bulletin. To rewatch our program, you can download our mobile app VTVgo or tune in our YouTube channel VTV4Go. Thank you for watching and see you next time.